And I'm gonna need this, and we're already live. Hey everyone, welcome back to the video, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the stream, and welcome back to a new little thing. Yeah, well, welcome back anyway. What are we doing? Well, as you can see, I've got some paint laid out, but that's kind of what I'm getting into. We are continuing the build on the F-15C, the 1/32nd scale by Tamiya. And that would be this guy here. Where's the front page of my instructions? That's this guy, right? Big honking box, it's just sitting over there. Well, as you can tell, I'm painting. That's kind of my project for now. We've got things all set up and things are assembled, and it's time to get some paint laid down on this. So, as you guys know, I had primed the whole thing with the Mr. Surfacer 1500 Gray, okay? Now, as you guys know, if you watch my channel, I don't normally prime stuff because Tamiya paints, they lay down pretty good, and to say, hey, you didn't put a primer on this one and you did on this one, look how different they are. That doesn't happen really, at least not for me. I find Tamiya spray cans, they do a good job. This lacquer that they have in them, it lays down without a primer pretty darn well. But that being said, the F-15 being my favorite plane, in my opinion, one of the best fighter jets in the world, and this is a 1/32nd scale, I wanted to do it right. At least I wanted to try doing a little bit more better. More better? That makes sense. So I primed the whole thing, and oh, my little, forgot to put that my little landing gear bay door back on. Anyway, so I primed it and got my AS26. This is the light ghost gray. Sprayed it all down. Well, I didn't spray this yet, okay? So what I did was I started spraying all the wings and the tail fins, and there's a couple of pieces on these trees here, little panels that needed to be done. Got the wings. Now the wings and everything, I didn't show you guys the assembly of the wings. It's pretty straightforward. 2 pieces, bing, done. And that's for the elevators also, and the tail fins, same thing. 2 pieces, boom, together, done. Nothing to really say about the fit or anything like that. It's Tamiya, they fit perfect. That's about it. The only thing I did is these little knobby things. I don't know what these are for, what their purpose is. There was a little bit of a gap that I didn't like, so I just took a little bit of putty and just filled in the gap there a little bit. It's nothing major, and it's not something that's going to be super noticeable. I just didn't feel right having a complete 100% gap, like a big cut all the way through on these. And so I just filled it in. I just put a little bit of putty in there just to fill it in a bit. I didn't even make sure it's all straight and level and flat. I just put it in there to fill it a little bit. That was good enough for me. So anyway, did that. Got the air brake. That's done. And fuel tank, 2 halves, boink. Spent a lot of time trying to line up the 2 halves together. I think I did a pretty good job, maybe the best job I've ever done at hiding the seam line on this particular tank. I didn't focus a lot on the top edge because it's going to be going on this pylon like this and being tucked underneath the fuselage, and once it's in, you are never going to see the top of that tank in the very center. So it's just the nature of the beast. The only view you will ever get, if you do, will be the bottom of it. So that's the side I really focused on. So I sprayed all these parts, and then I noticed I was running low on my can of light ghost gray. And then I remembered I got a jar of the LP37 light ghost gray, also by Tamiya, It's the jarred version of the can, right? And I was thinking, well, my local hobby store that's like 5 minutes away from my house, they never have stock on Tamiya's spray cans, especially the light ghost gray. I just, every time I go there, they're out of stock on it. I don't know why it's so popular, but anyway, I was running low. The can was almost empty, and so I pretty much knew I'm not going to have enough left over to do the fuselage. And so I figured, you know what? I'll suck it up. I'm going to try my hand at air gun, at why am I brain farting on this? Airbrushing. Air gun, air spray, every these things going through my head. Air brush. Figured, you know what? I'm going to airbrush it. And if I screw it up, well, I've got lots of lacquer thinner. I can take the paint off and try it again. So I'll try airbrushing. The airbrush that came with my kit that I bought, it's not all that great of a quality brush. In fact, even though it's got a 0.2 needle in it, I could not get a line. I could not spray a line any finer than, I'd say something pretty close to the thickness of this. I couldn't make a line with it smaller than that. Pretty close anyway. I mean, maybe a little smaller than that, but not much. But that's okay. I don't need to do fine detailing on it because I'm going to be spraying this whole thing, right? And so I did. Mixed it 1-to-1 or 50-50, whatever you prefer, whatever terminology you like best. Mixed it 50-50, and I sprayed it. And I did a pretty good job. And I didn't have any splatter. I didn't have any, missed lines. I didn't accidentally have the paint pool on me in certain areas. I just kind of used a lot of the techniques that I learned by watching videos, and it came out pretty darn good. And that's when I realized something. I went to put one of the wings on just for a test to see how it looked, and the two colors did not match at all. Like, major difference. These are supposed to be light ghost gray, both by Tamiya, and yet they don't match. They don't match at all. Looking at the lids, I don't know if the camera's really going to pick up on it. The camera, you can't really tell, but the way, it's almost like they have the lids flipped, okay? This color here matches this lid. The paint that's in this jar matches the lid on the spray can. And the paint that comes out of the can matches the lid. It's just the stuff in the can, it has a bluish tinge to it, okay? The stuff in the jar does not have such a bluish tinge. Now, I've since last night, I went to a hobby store, I bought another can of this, or another jar, and I spray painted everything, okay? I sprayed it, I airbrushed it all over this, but then I realized I have these pieces I need to do still, and that's why I brought all this up, because that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do these. I don't need a lot of paint from it, but I need to get these done because these do look different. Now if I take this piece, let's do this for you. So give me this one. If I put that on here, you should be able to tell. Maybe the camera. It's always a fight to get this in here. You should be able to tell. That's a major difference in the color. If I get it at the right angle, you can see it's a that is not the same color. This is a color out of the spray can. This is a color out of the jar. Both light ghost gray, both by Tamiya. So figure that out. Tamiya got their formulas wrong, And it's not like a one-off thing. I had 2 jars of this from 2 different batches of paint, supposedly. One was, the one I was painting with was I purchased months ago, and then this one I just bought 2 days ago. It's not like, oh, it was just a bad batch, it was a little bit off color. No, this, Tamiya has done this on purpose, and I don't know why. So, that being said, last night I realized I only did one side of these, so I've got to do the other sides. And same with this, and this little guy here needs to be done too. Another thing to note, because I had previously sprayed this with the aerosol, using the airbrush, it came out a little bit different color than just over the primer. And so, having purchased another can of this stuff, actually 2, I had to spray the fuselage with this and then go over with this to actually get it to match. So that was fun. Not really. It's a lot of extra painting that I didn't want to have to do, but it is what it is. So anyway, we're going to get a little bit of paint out here and get a few things ready, because you know, you need to have a little bit of prep when it comes to airbrushing. Give me a little dropper, what do they call these things? Droplets, tiplets, I can't remember, something like that. Niblets, pippets, that's it. So I'm going to do about that much, I think is probably good. I think this might have a hole in it. It's not holding, it's dripping now. Okay, that's fine. I really only need I don't need a whole lot to do these. This, of course, is the Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, which is extremely popular. I've shaken this up pretty good, and it's going to be mixed up pretty decent. Yeah, I haven't got a lot left in there now. That should be about 50-50. That's just about it for this. This is almost done. Well, the biggest difference for me, a can of this costs $5, and a can of this spray costs $13. So, going through a little jar and going through a spray can is a totally different thing. Consistency of milk, that's roughly what we're looking for. Yes, I'm using my flathead screwdriver as a mixer. So, got my airbrush ready. This is not the one that came with the kit. This is a GSI Krios 289, or PS 289. This one has the 0.3 nozzle, or needle in it. Now that should be more than enough to do these. I just realized I didn't prepare enough here. I need to get these ready. Otherwise, I'm not going to have fun. With these guys, I think I'm just going to use my glove. It's another thing you never see me have to do. I never wore gloves. Why flowers, primes, and reviewers on mountainviewers.com. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Prakiat18. Thanks for the advice. Okay, so I'm going to switch my camera over to this one here so you can see my little table and you can watch me paint. Now don't judge me on my technique, okay? Don't do that. I'm just learning. This is like the third time I'm using my airbrush, so my technique is probably not going to be perfect. What scene do I want here? I think it's this one. No, it's this one. Here we go. So here we are. All right. So, like I said, don't judge me on my technique because I'm still kind of just learning. The first couple of times that I tried airbrushing, I kind of was almost scared to lay it on too thick, and was a little bit worried about it. So I spent a lot of time doing the extremely light coats, and realized after that's not really an issue. Now, one thing I do find is a little bit difficult is spraying this gray over top of the gray and actually seeing where I've sprayed before. I have to get it at the right angle so that I can actually see. So that I can actually see where I've sprayed. That one gets to sit like that. Now we've got two elevators. I'm just going to hold it like this, I think. Good enough. It kind of helps if I have it at the angle that I can see where it gets wet. It's pretty easy to not see. The little parts I'm wanting to hold upright and face me like I would if I had the spray can, but I kind of have to lay them down. I'm almost out of paint, which means I pretty much calculated my needs almost perfect. And that's it, I'm out. But that's okay. I want to do more. I'm going to put another coat on there. So I'm going to have to clean up my little thing. I'm going to put a little bit of thinner in there because I want it to dry up while I mix some more paint. I don't want it dry. Paint in there. Now, I've seen a lot of things online about tip drying and stuff like that. I can honestly say I must be getting my mixing pretty good, my mixing ratio good, because I haven't really had an issue with tip drying. So, just gonna blow that out there. There we go. Okay. That'll be good enough while I get a little bit more paint. And because I'm running out here, I'm going to do this first and see how much I can get out of here. I'm just going to dump it because I'm almost out. Now I'm up. That's the end of my paint. So it's a good thing that this is done, or that I'm done, because, well, if I need more, I'm going to have to go to the store. pivot just cracked in the middle there, so it's gonna not really be useful to me anymore, so that's kind of good. That's good that it's done. I just want to put, I need to put another coat on the elevators. So this will be more than enough to do that. Okay. So, yeah, perfect. I'll switch you back so you can see what I'm doing. Let's see how these came out. This looks pretty good. That looks good. This one, it's got a little bit of unevenness on there, so I want to fix that on here. Lay it on a little thicker. Okay, there we go. All right, so back to these guys. Found yesterday doing a little bit of a wetter coat helps with the, I don't know, a better term, streaking effect, or to avoid the streaking effect. Just laying it down. I don't know, I was afraid to lay it down too thick, but it seems to work pretty good. I'm not sure if it's a combination of, you know, maybe even as a beginner, maybe I've got my ratio pretty good, and so that's why I'm having a good go of it and not experiencing the problems that others would normally have. I don't know. That's a pretty good coat there. Just double check this one. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to do a little double check on this. And I think this one looks pretty good. Yeah, so that's fine. And I'm almost out of paint, which is perfect. And so that's that. Switch you back here. Okay, and so that's it. So my airbrushing is done. So I'm just going to, it's only a couple of drops left in the cup there. So I'll just dump that out. Good enough. Clean up my cup. Down in the bottom there real good. Alright. That. Where's my pivot? Pivot! Even with a crack in it, it still works. Pull this through. Actually, I'm going to undo this so we can get my little bubbles going. The little bubbles. Tighten that back down. brush is nice and clean. I mean, not brush, bucket's nice and clean. Now don't freak out, I'm going to take this apart and clean it properly. This went from building the F-15 to taking apart my airbrush. That's fine. Alright, so let's take it apart. Well, let's put these aside first. Don't need this no more. That. Good enough for now. Okay. So first of all, I like to take this off because I'm going to have to get in there and clean that. This comes undone like this. Do this little guy. Pull the needle out carefully. Yeah, still got lots of little paint on there. I was just thinking that goes back to there. Okay. Just kind of put that in there. Get some thinner on it. I might like to try. There's a little bit of gray on there. There we go. So just put that down for now. Now, I did this yesterday and it worked pretty good. Just a little bit. Move it over there because there's nothing in there now. It will flow out. Pour out of there. And I can almost flush it. It's not doing that now. So why did you do that yesterday? But not today. Why? Maybe if I take this off. Expose the nozzle. Maybe I have some, maybe it's bugs. Yeah, because it's filling. There we go. I think I've got a little bit of blockage. So, there we go. There we go. Cleans that up. Make sure that's clean. Yeah, that's better. There we go. All right. I think we're clean there now. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we can put this back on. I kind of want to do the bubble action. I'm not 100% convinced that's clean. Yeah, apparently it is. Okay. We are clean, 100%. 100% clean. All right. Let's reassemble. Always got to be careful with the needle. You don't ever want to bend it. It's precious metal. Right till it seats, you feel it stop dead. Screw that. Just finger tight is good. Put this back on now. Okay, everything's working. Now I just want to make sure this is clean, because you always get some paint on the inside there. So I'm just going to use the brush to clean it off. Loosen up that paint on there, and then you can use this guy, use a Q-tip or one of your cotton swabs. You're just going to get in there and clean it up good. There we go. Clean. That back on there. Done. And put the lid back on. I don't know why. I never feel a definitive like snap or anything like that on there. It's such a tight fit. Anyway, done. Okay. And ready for the next one, right? Just like that. All right. So that's that. Airbrushing almost 101. Anyway, so now you guys have seen me airbrush. I don't know how much airbrushing I'm really going to be doing in my whole career. So there's the other fin. And so now, in theory, these match. Yes, much, much better. They match now. Much, much better. Which also means this is going to match on this when I put it on there. Yes, thank you very much. Now, of course, there's going to be that paint pattern with the dark gray that goes all the way along here, all the way up. So that doesn't matter so much if it didn't match, but I need it to match. Myself, I need it to match. I don't know if you guys ever follow, any of you ever take a look at my Instagram, but I recently posted a picture of my little baby P0 that I bought. Nice little $11 plane. Put it together and decided to try. My first hand at airbrushing ever was on this guy. So I laid down black just on all the panel lines to do that, and then after that threw in, I just used buff, Tamiya's buff, and laid it down. I know these planes are supposed to be green, but I wanted to do buff, and so I did my first little attempt at doing pre-shading on the panel lines. Never done it before, so I figured I'd try it out. It came out okay, I guess. Obviously, you know, for first time, following the panel lines with the airbrush was obviously a challenge, having never done that before. So there's one of the elevators. Looks pretty good. And there's the other elevator. Pretty good. They're now both the same color on both sides. Yay! Because that's the whole point of it, right? Okay. So, I just want to check this out, make sure this looks proper. It looks like it's going to match, yes. Okay, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to test fit this little guy here. it's a pretty tight fit. And that seems to match. It looks pretty good. Of course, when I start doing weathering and everything on this, it's not really going to matter so much. And I've tried looking for pictures online where, you know, you got an older plane. Maybe this thing is like was built in the 90s, you know, and so over the course of its life, it's needed a panel replaced here or there, and that panel doesn't match the color because it was painted like it's brand new. That's my thinking. So I was thinking maybe, but you know what? I can't find anything like that online, where you see that with, like, you look at F-14s, F-18s, where they're on the carrier decks and they have to replace panels because of corrosion and stuff like that. But I don't see that on the F-15s. Like, do they never have to replace panels on them? Like, I don't know. I never see that. And I'd like to think a plane that's been around since, like, literally the 70s, that they would have to replace the odd panel. You know, maybe this one had to be replaced at some point, and so the color of it doesn't match the rest. You know, or maybe this panel here, or this whole panel here needed to be replaced. I don't know. Maybe this one here, something would need to be replaced at some point. The nature of it, right? But I don't see anything like that in pictures of these planes online. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, so this looks like it's going to match pretty good, and it's looking pretty darn good. The panel lines are super nice and crisp on this thing, and I'm really impressed. So anyway, what I've done, I've gone to the back of the book here, and I have photocopied these pictures. 350% will get you an exact size of the plane itself, okay, of the model, if this is the route you're going to do. And this is the route I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be airbrushing the camouflage, you know, the distinct F-15 camouflage pattern. I'm not going to airbrush this. I'm going to be using my old technique with the old rattle can. And so how do I do that? Well, I photocopy this, get big life-size pictures of it, okay, which I have them all right here, okay, life-size pictures, right? You'll see, this is like the real deal here. Matches perfect. 350% is what you got to blow it up to, okay? And that'll get you like a near perfect representation on the page, okay? Like, look at that. That is like bang on right there, okay? Perfect. So then what I do is I cut out the pattern. I've got 3 here because I need to do one for this side, one for this side, and one for the middle here. Okay, so I've got 3 of these. And you see I've got all my little patterns. These are for the tail fins, like this here. Okay. Now I keep these, even though I'm not going to be using these, because this is what the color is. I need, like this one, this is for the outside, so this is going to be the right hand, so this is going to be actually here, this, okay, and I've marked it so that I know exactly where to put it, and that's where it needs to go. So all I do is I just hold it and I go shh, 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 and that way I get that little bit of a fog that's going to go underneath there, but not too much, and then I just pull it away and boom. And sometimes the reason why I keep the other part of this, okay, I'm showing you a funny angle, the reason why I keep this part is so that sometimes the paper might lift, like you can see here, it's lifting up, okay? And you might get a little bit too much spray underneath, and then you pull this away, and you've got this big, soft, shaded fog here, and the rest is all like it's supposed to be. So then what I do is I'll take this, whichever one it is, and I'll lay it down, and I'll do the other color. And that way I can redo that line, right? So, for example, here's an elevator, okay? So the elevator is going to go like this on here. So you know, that we'll take this and I'll line it up on here, like so, okay? And then I'll pick it up. I might even tape it down, I don't know, it all depends on the piece, okay? So I line it up on there, flip it over. Now that's what needs to be sprayed, okay? So I'll just leave it there and I'll spray it. And let's say, for example, while I'm spraying, I'm silly and I spray on an angle like this, and I really get a huge amount of paint going underneath of it, okay? I don't want that. If I'm doing it properly, I'm supposed to spray straight down, okay, on all the edges, okay? But sometimes even going on an angle like this might be fine on this edge if I want a harder edge, right? Because going like this, you're not going to get paint going underneath. That makes sense? Okay? So, but in the event I do get that, that's when I grab the cutout from this. This isn't the exact one, it's going to be another one here somewhere. This one maybe? Yeah, okay. So, so in the event I get too much going underneath this, that's when I grab this guy and I will lay it down over what I've just painted, grab this color, and I will spray it and fix that little oversprayed spot, okay? I've got a 1/48 scale F-15 that I did about a year and a half ago, something like that, and I was using this technique. I wound up going on one of the tail fins. I had to paint that thing 4 times because I kept on making a mistake and just screwed it up. But it allows you to do that. And of course, using the spray cans, it's easy to just go grab the can, spray, oops, grab the other can, spray, oops, grab the other can again, spray. That's the ease of the rattle cans, right? As you can see with my airbrush, I had to spend 2 minutes cleaning it. And you got to do that each time. So anyway, that's this, okay? I think I have some assembly to do today before I actually get into doing that, but I don't have much time today. I do kind of want to paint the fuselage, these colors. I want to get this section of the fuselage painted. I want to get that done today. So, just because I want to test the color variation I have for the camouflage. Now this is just in this section here that goes over the engines, okay? And what's nice about having this lined up is it can actually line it up on the plane itself, like all your patterns, just exactly where it needs to go, like almost identical. And that's how it's going to go, okay? So I want to test my color because I was actually curious when I saw the difference of the 2 different light ghost grays. There was a big contrast between the can and the jar. And it was almost like, hey, I could actually use light ghost gray as the camouflage color. But in the end, I've decided I'm still going to go with my haze gray. It's a bigger contrast. It's a huge contrast. Here, I've even painted both these lids, so there's the contrast on them, right? Let's get it on this camera too. That's the contrast there. So I'm still going to use the haze gray for this. But as you might be able to see on the camera, this is laying down right against the plastic, and I don't want that. right? Because I don't want a super hard line. So what do I need to do? Well, I'll flip it over, and I'm going to take some tape and kind of roll it up and make it stand off of the plastic, maybe a millimeter or so, something like that. So all I'm going to do is take this and roll it back on itself so that it's sticky. I don't have to do that. I could, unfortunately, because the tape wants to curl back on itself, it's hard to actually do it the other way. But you can. You just have to convince it a little bit. Once you get enough, got it rolled enough, now I've got a little bit of a thing, and I'm just going to do that, and I'll just lay it down right there so that it's right beside it, like that. And now when that lays down, it's not touching anymore. Okay? And I'll do that in a few spots. Of course, you don't have to do this on every one, but in this particular spot, it's wanting to be like that. So I want to make sure that I don't have a hard line when this actually lays down on there. So let's line this up again, kind of. Okay, so we're not touching here now, and we're not touching here now. Still touching in the middle, especially right here and here, so I'll have to put two there. This side doesn't seem to be too bad, but when I actually spray, the air pressure of the can is going to push this down like this, right? And it's going to make it go, and it's going to touch, and it's going to touch everywhere, except in those little spots that I just did. In fact, this one's not close enough, it's touching, so I'm going to have to go all the way around. I don't normally have this problem with the 1/48 scales. Usually I have to bend the hell out of this to get it close, because the contour of the engines here, the paper just lifts right off, and it's too much. I usually have the opposite problem with the 1/48 scale. So this is going to be a little bit of work. You guys who are watching me live, you get to suffer through this little process. You guys who are watching me on YouTube, I'm going to edit this video so that, well, you don't have to watch me roll up little pieces of tape. I think we're good, guys. Okay. All right, so we're back, we're done. We got all of these little masking tape pieces on here, and so we're going to line it all up. Goes right about here, making sure I'm hopefully centered as good as I can get it anyway. That's one nice thing of having all the lines, and they all line up, and it's all a perfect scale. I can make sure that it's in the spot that it's supposed to be. It still wants to kind of touch in some spots. And of course, with this being from here, it's a little bit harder to touch up. So I want to have it as perfect as I can. So I'm going to add one here. I'm just going to roll it up. Double-sided style. Like that. And I might as well do that here and here just in case. Just add a couple more. Just to try and be sure. Now, one thing to consider, if you're doing this, if you do accidentally get a bunch of overspray underneath of it, it can actually highlight where your little pieces of tape are. So that's another thing that you want to be careful of. Okay, let's do right over here. Right there. I think that's where we're going right there. Yeah. Right in the middle here, it's touching. Of course, I've got my tape there too. But what I can do, rather than putting tape here and here, I'm going to bend these up. Just a little tiny bit on the edge. Like that. So now, I'm going to lay this down where it needs to be. Like that. Now these are lifted up a little bit. So I'm always going to get a little bit of paint underneath there, no matter what. So that's good. Maybe I'm not. I need to bend this one up a little bit more. This one's fine, I think. Yeah. It's a lot of prep, guys. A lot of prep that goes into this. Especially because I want it right. I want it done right. And I want this centered. I want to make sure this is centered where it's supposed to be. Don't go too far forward. And a little bit too close to me. Yeah, see, that's a problem. It's supposed to stay on the paper, not the plane. Okay. That's where it's going. So I'm going to take this down so it don't move on me. And that's what we got. That's what we're going to deal with right now. Okay? So, I do want to mask here and here to get rid of the possibility of any overspray there. Because, you know, if you don't mask, you will have overspray. That's just the nature of the beast, right? You'll think, oh, no, it's fine. I'll never get paint there. And then you pull your masking away, and all of a sudden there's paint there. Where you never intended. You never thought it would actually go there. And it did. Now this, of course, doesn't matter. So let's just make sure. That's good enough. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so haze gray. You guys want to watch? I'll show you. So I'm going to have it facing me like this because I want to get it and that's all I need. I don't need any more than that. The beauty of this is that I don't need to put it on super thick. And so we're going to pull this off. You can see the line where I got overspray. Can't see it on the tape really, but you can see it on the paper right along there. So that's why just double check to make sure. And there we go. That looks pretty good. And now we can save that. And I didn't get any, I don't have any hard lines on there. Oh, I got this though. I didn't get too much overspray underneath, so I did good. I did good, guys. Take this off. It looks pretty centered. I'm happy with that, and I'm happy with the contrast between the haze gray and the light ghost. That is a nice contrast. It looks good. I like it. So I just wanted to get that done today. That was on my mind right from the beginning this morning, is wanting to get this done and see how it looks, because it's not too much of a, if I need to change it, it's not too much of a weird area to do, and that particular little paper cutout is not a huge complex piece. There's a few pieces like for the wings where it's pretty complex, and how it comes up like this and then cuts back down and then goes like this, continues forward as the pattern goes along here, goes like this, cuts along here, right? That's a bit of a complex piece to do. So we're going to leave it at that for now, guys. So yeah, not much assembly, just a little bit of painting today. And yeah, a couple more pieces I'm going to do maybe a little bit later. Do the elevators, and I'll do the tail fins. Yeah, and maybe I'll get the wings, the main wings, I'll get them prepped, and then I'll show you guys actually painting the wings and all the fun that will entail with that. So with that, guys, I'm going to leave it, let you go, and yeah, thanks for coming out and thanks for watching. And yeah, as much as I would love it if you guys would head over to my Twitch channel and follow me on there. I would love to be able to grow my Twitch channel, as it seems to be dead in the water. As it is right now, it's not really growing, it's just kind of sitting stagnant. That would be cool. I know you guys don't really, obviously you want to watch the video on YouTube, but not really necessarily live, and that's fine, I get that. But yeah, so thanks for watching, thanks for coming out. I'll put links for my Twitch and my Instagram and everything down in the comment box, or not in the comment box, the description box. And yeah, maybe I can get going on this a little bit later, maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But for now, we're going to end it here, and thanks you guys for watching, and yeah, we'll see you all in the next one.